Is the universe infinite? Does it stretch on forever in every direction? Or is there an edge, a boundary, a cosmic wall where everything ends? And if there is an edge, what's beyond it? Is there just more space, more Earths? Nothingness? Or something else entirely? These questions seem simple, but they lead us into one of the most fascinating and mind-bending paradoxes in modern science: the paradox of an infinite universe. One thing we do know is that the universe had a beginning. About 13.8 billion years ago, everything we can observe emerged from an unimaginably hot and dense point in an event we call the Big Bang. Since then, space itself has been expanding, not into anything, but expanding itself, carrying galaxies farther and farther apart. So far, this might make sense. But here's the twist. Even though the universe has a finite age, it doesn't mean it has a finite size. Due to the continuous expansion of space, the most distant objects whose light has reached us are now about 45 billion light-years away. That forms what we call the observable universe, a sphere centered on us, with a radius of 45 billion light-years, filled with hundreds of billions of galaxies. But beyond that sphere, we don't know. There could be more galaxies, more matter, more space, possibly stretching on forever. And from what we can tell, the universe is expanding much quicker than the speed of light. And that's terrifying. When you think about the billions and billions of years the universe has been expanding. But here's where the paradox begins. If the universe is infinite, then it contains an infinite number of galaxies, stars, planets, and possibilities. Every arrangement of particles, no matter how unlikely, should happen, not once, but infinitely many times. Including an exact copy of you, sitting in a room identical to yours, watching this exact video. This isn't science fiction. It's what the math suggests, assuming the universe really is infinite and governed by the same laws of physics everywhere. But let's slow down, because this quickly becomes strange. If everything that can happen does happen, somewhere, infinitely, then doesn't that make reality meaningless? How can we talk about cause and effect if every outcome is guaranteed to exist? This is the heart of the infinite universe paradox. The more you try to grasp it, the more it slips away. But maybe we don't need to go that far. Maybe the universe isn't infinite at all. There's another option. What if space is finite but still has no edge? Imagine an ant walking along the surface of a giant balloon. From the ant's perspective, the surface is endless. But in truth, it's looping back on itself, a finite space with no borders. You can keep walking forever and never fall off. Now take that idea into 3 dimensions. A finite, borderless space can be created by curving 3-dimensional space into a higher dimensional shape, like a hypersphere. Hard to picture? That's normal. Our brains aren't wired to visualize 4-dimensional geometry. But mathematically, it's a perfectly valid possibility. In such a universe, if you set off in a straight line in a spaceship and waited long enough, you could eventually return to your starting point without ever turning around. So, a finite universe with no edge is possible. It neatly avoids the bizarre consequences of infinity, while still giving us a huge, perhaps even incomprehensibly vast universe. But how would we know? Here on Earth, we know our planet is round because ships disappear over the horizon and astronauts can orbit it. But we can't orbit the universe, at least not yet. Scientists have searched for clues in the cosmic microwave background, the afterglow of the Big Bang. If the universe were curved like a hypersphere or some other shape, like a torus or a hyperdonut, we might expect to see repeated patterns, light looping around the cosmos, distant galaxies appearing in multiple places at once. So far, no such evidence has been found. That suggests that if the universe is curved and finite, it's so big that from our perspective, it looks flat. Like standing in a vast field and trying to detect the curvature of the Earth with your feet. But the infinite option remains on the table. In fact, the standard cosmological model, the one used in most physics and astronomy calculations, treats the universe as infinite. Not because we've proven it to be so, but because assuming infinity makes the math easier, and we've seen no contradiction in our observations. Here's where the paradox deepens. An infinite universe that began a finite time ago has been expanding ever since. But how can something infinite expand? Isn't infinity already as big as it gets? Well, yes and no. Infinity isn't a number, it's a concept. The expansion of space in an infinite universe just means that the distances between things increase. You can have an infinite space today, and an even more expanded infinite space tomorrow, and the total amount of stuff in any volume will be less dense as a result. But once you accept infinity into your equations, things get weird very quickly. In an infinite universe, not only could there be another copy of Earth, there could be infinitely many, with every possible variation. A version where you were born on a Tuesday, another where you speak another language, one where your life turned out completely different, and another where it's almost the same, except you paused this video 3 seconds ago. Just think about that for a second. Infinity suggests there's a version of you that's blinked in the same way, at the same moment, with the same thoughts, but maybe one more heartbeat. In an infinite universe, every possibility plays out. This is more than speculation. It's the inevitable outcome of combining 3 ideas. The universe is infinite, the laws of physics are the same everywhere, and matter is made of a finite number of particle configurations. But is this science or science fiction? That depends on whether these ideas can ever be tested. Right now, we can only observe a small bubble of space around us. Everything beyond that is forever out of reach. Not just because it's far away, but because its light hasn't had time to reach us, and never will. So even if there is an edge, or even if space loops back on itself, we might never be able to tell. This brings us to a final twist in the paradox. Maybe the question itself is unanswerable. The size and shape of the universe may be forever beyond our ability to measure, like asking a fish to describe the shape of the ocean. And yet, even within the tiny corner of the cosmos that we can observe, there is more than enough wonder to fill countless lifetimes. Stars being born and dying, galaxies colliding, black holes spinning, new physics waiting to be discovered. Infinity might break our brains, but even a finite universe is rich enough to make us feel humble, curious, and connected to something much bigger than ourselves. We may never know whether the universe is infinite, but in seeking the answer, we get something just as valuable: perspective. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, consider subscribing and checking out some of our other videos. Until next time.